am blessed to be talking to Nick Mohammed, but I am more excited to speak to David Sunshine more than anything.
I haven't heard someone refer to David Sunshine in a long time.
Well, I'm all about deep dives, Mr. Mohammed. I do the research, so no.
Okay, yeah.
You the way you tell the weather or give the forecast is eerily reminiscent of every weather forecast I've ever seen in my life. So you know,
that's
always good for a chuckle, you know. So I mean, everybody's talking about two things here. We're talking about central intelligence, of course, and this little tiny show called Ted Lasso. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. But let's talk about central intelligence. It's season 2. What will fans be in store for?
So yeah, Intelligence season 2. So at the end of season 1, Jerry has avoided extradition. So Jerry, played by David Schwimmer, has avoided extradition back to the States, where he was going to face charges of treason by obtaining British citizenship by marrying my character. That marriage is immediately annulled. Yeah, effectively season 2 is about a real life cyber weapon actually called Eternal Blue, which was a weapon designed by the NSA, but that ended up falling into the wrong hands, effectively getting leaked, and is now being used, and this is real, by cyber terrorists to kind of conduct mayhem. So we effectively took that real life story and then contrived the idea that Jerry, David's character, had a hand in designing this machine whilst he was at the NSA, and that he is effectively the only person who knows how to sort of shut it down and knows the password for it. And so he's effectively sort of seeing his success in doing that as his ticket home back to the NSA, a way of kind of wiping his slate clean and sort of being heralded a hero. So that's effectively the sort of season arc for season 2. But along the way, there's like a Valentine's Day episode, and the team had to take part in a harassment and discrimination, anti-harassment and discrimination seminar. And what else do they get up to? Birthday parties, and Joseph goes on dates. So yeah, lots to look forward to.
I mean, it's not often that you could say this about you in a particular series, but in this particular case with Central Intelligence, more often than not, you end up playing the straight man in a scene. You end up, kind of being the antithesis to David Schwimmer, which is, I guess, it's got to be a little different for you.
Yeah, it's fun though to play, and especially because when you've written it, it's sometimes quite a nice role to have, because as a writer, you're kind of, you're sort of the Joseph, I feel, is sometimes the eyes of the audience. That he's the one sort of kind of like reacting in that kind of way, kind of, oh, did you? Oh, okay, yeah, kind of. He's sort of our entry point, I think, into it. Even though Joseph is a bit of an odd guy himself, but yeah, there's plenty of times when he's playing sort of second fiddle to the likes of David Schwimmer. But that's no bad thing, I don't think.
And I think that people are generally shocked. I know I am, even though I've obviously, like most billions of others around the world, have seen him in Friends. His comedic timing is, pretty stellar. I mean, especially in this setting.
Oh, it's phenomenal. David now, as weird as it sounds, is is a good friend, a good mate, because we've collaborated so heavily on this, and we're always in contact almost daily. And I almost now take it for granted how funny he is, and particularly with the physical stuff and the clowning around. He undoubtedly, obviously, he's so brilliant in Friends, and we really kind of allow him to go full physical with this role as well. And I think he really enjoys playing it, because let's face it, Jerry is the real antithesis of Ross. He's sweary, he's brash, he's a xenophobe, he's he gets to sort of do and say all these things that David didn't say in Friends, and so it's quite fun writing up to that a little bit.
And here I just wanted you to tell me he was an ass, but of course you had to praise him. So thanks for ruining the quote. I really appreciate it, Nick. That was really kind. But we'll move on from that. Did you ever in your wildest dreams figure that Ted Lasso would become what it's become?
No, because you can never know. You never know. Even when, don't get me wrong, we all thought we were making a good show. We loved the positive, hopeful message. The scripts were great. The casting is, impeccable I'm not talking about myself. What I mean is that everyone absolutely embodies those parts so well, and it's such a lovely company. It really is. But no, you can't anticipate that a show would do as well, particularly, Ted Lasso done so extremely well. And, that they're under no illusion that obviously that hopeful message and that warmth definitely came at a time when I think people really, really were able to respond to it because of the pandemic and so on. But it certainly wasn't by design. They didn't plan the pandemic so they could put out a feel-good show. But yeah, it's incredible. I can't really. It's surreal, really. I can't really describe how it feels to be involved in a show that has done, that well. All I'll say is, actually, because we've just finished season 2, is that it does weirdly, there is a strange, and it's the same with intelligence, is that there's a strange responsibility when your first season lands and it finds its audience and people get in contact with you because they enjoy it. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But then as soon as you get to season 2, you're like, oh crikey, I really want them to like this, and even more so. You don't want them to think, it's sort of kind of settled into a groove. You want them to still sit up in that way that they reacted to season 1. So it does come with an air of anticipation. I mean, it's nervous excitement, and particularly, with both of those shows, Ted Lasso, obviously not seen the edit of that yet, but I know what's to come for everyone, and so I'm really, really excited about both people seeing that and Intelligence.
Now, obviously, we love Central Intelligence, but I mean, the thing about your character in Ted Lasso is that beyond Ted, obviously the namesake for the show, fans are really, they endear themselves to you. You have a really big growing fan base. People love your character in this show. Does that get a little overwhelming at times, or are you touched by it? I mean, I obviously have never had that experience in my life, so I'm just kind of curious.
I think it's both those things. It's both. It's incredibly touching, and it is overwhelming. Like, you kind of, because it's, I'm not on social media too much, but I am on Twitter, and I'll occasionally go through and look at kind of comments and stuff. And I think with Ted Lasso in particular, I think partly, and Nate's journey as well, because everyone loves like an underdog. That story of success, which season 1 does track for Nate. People are really heartened by it, and people get in contact and tell you about how much it kind of means to them, and how it's that message has empowered them, and how Ted as a show has almost like been therapy for them. And Ted and Intelligence are very, very, very different shows in that respect. Intelligence is it's almost like a live action cartoon, and it doesn't aim to kind of connect with people emotionally in that kind of same way that Ted does. And but yeah, it's sort of been incredible that people from all over the world have sort of got in contact to say how they can resonate with that story, and how they loved seeing his journey and him finally succeed at the end of that season. And again, it taps into that suddenly that responsibility for delivering in season 2. But I'm so excited about what people will make of that.
I mean, I have to imagine fans stop you and ask about the fictitious football club that you play for, in that particular show, almost forgetting the fact that it is quote unquote a show, because they get so invested in that whole environment, that whole universe. I mean, it's just speculation.
A little bit. I mean, I don't think people believe I'm Nate. Occasionally, like, I was at the zoo the other day. Like, I was at London Zoo with my family, and just the person who was sort of seeing us through to like the tarantulas or something was like, "Oh, Nate the Great, hi." And I was like, "Oh, hi," like that, kind of quite Nate about. I was like, "Oh, sorry," and kind of like went on through to see the spiders or whatever we were going in to see. That's always strange when things like that happen. But yeah, in general, it's just been quite nice. There's a lot of fan artwork, which is again very, very nice. And yeah, you kind of have to detach yourself from it a little bit, I think, because that side of it it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful, and you obviously want people to enjoy your work, but you have to, because social media can connect you so instantaneously with how someone is feeling about X, Y, Z. You also want to preserve a little bit of the mystery as well. As an actor, you want to kind of you know, it's nice that people kind of believe you to be Nate, but you don't want to kind of interact too much with that side of things, or at least that's my take on it.
You realize that I will be murdered in the comments if I don't ask the following question, and the question is, of course, what can we expect in the new season of Ted Lasso?
All I can say, because naturally Apple will assassinate me if I say anything more.
There's a red light on me right now. I'm not sure why that is. I'm just kidding.
I genuinely can't give any spoilers, and you won't want to hear the spoilers because there are some big spoilers. But all I'll say is it's really interesting because obviously Nate's been on this journey in season 1, and he's got to this point where he's empowered and he's got this newfound confidence. And what's really interesting about season 2 is that, because you don't always see it, the underdog story is something that we're quite familiar with in film and TV. But with this, we've kind of taken an underdog, and with Ted, you've taken an underdog and sort of got him to a particular point, and it's still Nate. He still has the insecurities that Nate had in season 1. He's not a different person, but he has got new elements to his sort of personality, or at least feels he's got the confidence to express himself in a way that he's not been able to express himself before. So it's interesting to see now what journey he goes on from that point, which is not something that you always see. And it is a very, very interesting journey, and I will not give anything away about it.